What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I am your host, Jimmy Smith, and I hope you're all having yourselves a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying the holidays. I hope you're all staying safe out there, having a great time. Appreciate you all taking the time. This is not a live video, but did get to see you live last night for Fan Friday. Appreciate all of you that tuned in. You can always go check that out. But if you're watching this bad boy, would love to hear from you down below. Always down to talk some birds, but want to get this bad boy in here. Got some festivities to get to here today, but wanted to talk about these wide receivers. So we're going to go through each position before training camp, get a little preview here, and we're going to do this positional breakdown, position by position. So we got through the quarterback, running back. Now it is wide receiver on the table, and I'm sure you saw this the other day. I talked about it on the show, but in case you missed it, you had A.J. Brown posting Saquon video fired me up. The one, shown in the, that's the Giants GM, the team talking about, how he's washed up. They didn't want to pay for him, all that. That's great. Well, you've got A.J. here. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you get yours, fam. Let's effing go. So we talked about this receiving core, the best duo in the league. What's going to happen beyond those two, though? And we're going to talk about all of that right here, right now. So let's jump right into it. Appreciate you hitting the like button, subscribing, sharing all this. Cannot thank you enough. But let's take a look at what has gone down this offseason with the wide receiver position. So we lost Quez, and we're all very happy about that. Olamide Zaccheaus moves on to the Washington Commanders, is their name this year, I think. So you've got a guy that I liked. I thought was decent, but you've got a much younger, better version we drafted. I'm much more pumped up there. Julio Jones, still a free agent, but you look at the list of people we added. Paris Campbell in free agency. Then later in the offseason year, we added John Ross. Now, we drafted Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson. I had both those guys as pre-draft fits for the Eagles. Very excited about getting both of them. Then Shaquan Davis, Jacob Harris, and Austin Watkins were all reserve future signings before this offseason even began. So we will include everybody. I'm going to talk about all of them, and you guys can let me know how you feel about this room, whether you think 5 or 6 or 7 wide receivers are making it, who you've got making it, who you think's on the bubble, whatever's on your mind. Love to hear from you, but you could see all of the pieces that we lost and added there. Now let's take a look at this room as a whole. We've got 11 of these guys competing for, in my opinion, 5, maybe 6 positions here at wide receiver that, these guys can make. So let's take a look here at the 11 guys. And we know, again, AJ and Devontae here because, well, they're AJ and Devontae, and again, the best duo. So AJ Brown, man, the first Eagles with 1,400 yards in back-to-back years, has the most receptions by an Eagle at 106. He broke Devontae's record the year before, 6 consecutive under 25-yard games. And he has the most receiving yards, 1,496. And he and Tyreek Hill are the only receivers in the NFL that have over 1,400 yards the last 2 seasons. He leads the league with a 15.7 receiving average. That's since 2019. And he's also first since 2019 with 50-plus yard touchdowns, 14. The dude, one of the best in the game. If people are still sleeping on him, good for them. You got Devontae Smith with him. I know people wanted to sleep on him when I wrote that article about drafting him years ago. Don't think they're sleeping anymore. Look, they are the first Eagles tandem to go over 1,000 yards together. And look, he broke D-Jack's rookie record with 916 yards. He's one of 7 NFL receivers with 80-plus catches, 1,000 yards, and 7-plus touchdowns in each of the last 2 seasons. That list includes AJ, also Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. So, I mean, if we're not putting this dude in the top 10, I am. I think these people are smoking something special because Devontae Smith, he is very special. Holds the franchise record, most receptions and receiving yards by an Eagle during their first 3 years. So, his game speaks for itself. Most yards in Eagles playoff history, 148. Well, A.J. Brown was out, so let's just not talk about that game. We know those two. We know how fantastic they are. I wanted to give them their praise quick. Love those dudes. Can't wait to see them shine with Kellen Moore's offense here. Jalen Hurts at the helm. Let's go. But you're looking at who is behind him. So Paris Campbell, you add in the draft, and you remember him. That was a year where we passed on Metcalf, went with Arcega-Whiteside. We almost went with Campbell, didn't. Well, Nick Sirianni gets reunited. He was with him in 2019 and 20 on the Colts there. So out of Ohio State, and still a young man here, and he's got that 4.3 speed. We know he's got talent. And, when you've got guys like Devontae and AJ around you, maybe that opens some things up. So I think he could definitely make this team. And I'm hopeful that, he rekindles what's going on. I mean, he played for the Giants last year, so it's hard to tell because your quarterback's trash, everybody around you's trash, your offensive line. So, hey, maybe a change of scenery is exactly what he needs. But when you're looking at somebody like Anais Smith, you guys know I talk about this all SEC first team, versatile weapon here, a guy that played running back, receiver, helps you in the return game. Oh, we talked about all the little trickery we could see with Anais Smith. Talked about him extensively before the draft. Really a big fan of his game, and I'm really happy to see him as a Philadelphia Eagle. So to me, bringing all that to the table, that's a sure sign he's making this team. 5th round pick doesn't mean you have to make the team, but I really think he helps you in a plethora of ways. Been a little banged up to start the offseason, been a little careful with him. So I'm perfectly fine with that, taking it easy on him, gradually getting him up to speed with things. I think he's a special kid who's going to be the wide receiver 3 of the future for the Eagles. Then you look at Johnny Wilson. And we talked about him before the draft. And why I thought, a project like this is worth taking a shot on. And I even said in the 4th, maybe 5th, you're talking in the 6th round. Oh, hell yeah. So Johnny Wilson out of Florida State, 6'6", 6'7". I've seen him listed at 6'8" even, but let's just go ahead and say he's one large mother effer. So he's one of 4 wide receivers drafted in the last 10 years that weighed 230 pounds and ran at least a 4.5 40 in the 40-yard dash. So pretty, incredible. A guy of his size, one thing we talked about, he has some, drops and things we are worried about, but dude, not with that size, skill set, athleticism. And he only ran like a 4.5 340, but dude, just watch his game. And, he doesn't just play outside. They used him as a big slot at Florida State. So I really like this kid's game. Excited to see his future. And I think he makes it too, but we're going to find out this all season. You've got a guy like Britton Covey here who, look, I got a lot of hate for not wanting to cut him the last couple of years, but I'm telling you, this dude, one of the best returners in the game. He actually led the NFL in punt returns last year. And I know a lot of people might be confused about what that means, but that means he's good at it. He's the best at it, actually. So, I'm not cutting him just because, people want Odell Beckham or whatever hell the reasons are, but the kid's talented. So now having competition, that makes it more so, okay, you better prove it. So, I mean, we know he could do it in the return game. He's the only player with multiple 50-plus yard punt returns and last year. And last year he also had, he was tied for the most 10-plus yard returns. He had the most 15-plus yarders, the most 20-plus yarders, and he was tied for the most 25-plus yarders. So, dude's doing pretty well in that game. He produced the most punt returns and yards in the NFL since 2022, and he owns the most punt returns of 15, 20, and 25, and 50 during that stretch. So he's been holding it down, man. If he can just carve out a game, helping out as a receiver, that would be huge, man. And if he wants to try to be that slot guy, try to help out there, compete with Campbell and Smith, dude, I think it would be great for him. But we're going to find out this all season. A lot of talent there. We'll find out if he can do anything with it. John Ross, somebody who's got blazing speed. That 4.22 record was held forever until, well, not forever, like 7, 8 years, whatever it is. But you saw Xavier Worthy beat that this year. But we know he's still got speed. But can he become more of a complete receiver? Can he run routes? Can he catch the ball? Can he actually do the other things you need to do, not just run straight? So that's, I know, people get carried away with that stuff, but this isn't Madden, man. Yeah, he's got speed, but you got to be able to do it all. And we have seen he has struggled to do that throughout his career. He tried to come back last year with the Chiefs, got a little banged up. Some things didn't work out for him there, but he's back this year trying to make the team for the Eagles here. And hey, man, it's open competition, 11 guys, and probably more than half of them are going to be going. So step it up, do your thing, and best of luck to you, John Ross. Then you've got Joseph Nada, who's been here since, last year, looked really good at times in the offseason, then had his struggles as well. But I know a lot of people got carried away, thought he should be starting over A.J. Brown, a lot of things like that. I don't agree with that. I think he was on the practice squad for a reason. Going to take some time to continue to develop him, but he's got great size. I understand the comparison to A.J. Brown, big-bodied kind of guy. but you got to be able to put it on the table. This is not just create a player mode where you can change his stats. Now, Shaquan Davis, that's another guy, 6'5". So you got yourself a real big dude. And out of South Carolina State, this dude on the Saints practice squad. And look, there are individual videos on all these guys if you're looking for in-depth breakdowns on these guys, but just trying to cover some things in case you missed who's on the team and, try to simplify it. But you can see big body dude, so he's going to do his best to go out here, try to show that, he could beat out Joseph Nato or Johnny Wilson. So you've got some bigger dudes that will be competing. And Austin Watkins also being one of those guys, 6'3", out of the University of Alabama, Birmingham. So this guy, he's actually been in the NFL for a few years, bounced around. Was last with Cleveland, I believe. And look, he's got some size. So I know people get excited about that stuff, but we got to see what he does on the field. So best of luck this offseason. And then the same goes for Jacob Harris, who, we talked about this. Well, I also wanted to mention Austin, that he is actually the cousin of Jalen Watkins, former Eagle, and also Sammy, because they were cousins. So, yeah, you get it. He spent some time in the USFL as well. So he's got some experience. So we'll see what he can do. And look, size is a good thing. So best of luck. And then Jacob Harris, looking at a 6'5" dude that runs a 4.39. Now, hasn't really panned out in the NFL just yet. Been here a few years. Last spent time with the Jags there. But out of UCF, and this is a guy we talked about, one of those tweener projects where maybe you get him playing that, F-type tight end, that receiving type guy where, he can push Calcaterra and Alberto and EJ Jenkins, and you brought in McCall Castles as well as undrafted kids. So we'll talk about tight ends here soon, but maybe Jacob Harris gets used there as well. We'll see what he can do at receiver. And if he can help in a multitude of ways, well, that'll be good. So, hey, best of luck to him. But you see all of the 11 receivers that the Eagles have competing here. And if you've been tuning in, you've seen my depth charts, but I will show you my projected depth chart here. I did switch something around. I wanted to take out Ainias Smith just because I don't want to get ahead of myself. Yes, I had him as a top fit for the Eagles before the draft, same as Johnny Wilson, but doesn't mean he just has to start right away because of that. So his injury may hinder that, happening right away, but it also depends on how Paris Campbell is going to play. But as the veteran, I just put Paris Campbell back in there as the slot. But look, Paris can play inside, outside. A lot of these guys versatile, so it doesn't matter, man. But Ainias Smith is there, and I think that, he will eventually become that third guy, and I'm excited to see that. Got Wilson as your backup. You could dabble him in. As the year progresses, maybe more snaps. But right now, you see those 11 guys. Look, for me, you heard me say it, Brown, Smith, Campbell, Wilson, the other Smith, and then Covey. I believe it's down to, those 6 guys competing. I don't know that Nada, Davis, Watkins, Harris, or Ross make it, but hey, you never know, man. You come out here, you really show something. Maybe you beat out Covey, and then Ainias Smith can be your return guy. Anything can happen here, man, and injuries happen, anything, man. So I will keep you up to date with all of it, but that's all I've got for you on the Philadelphia Eagles wide receivers before training camp begins July 23rd, and it's coming so soon, ladies and gentlemen. I can wait. But if you enjoyed this content, do me a favor, hit that like button. You can always share this stuff. Appreciate you subscribing. Would love to hear from you down below. Any comments, your favorite receiver other than Brown and Smith, or between the two, or whatever you got. You can list the 11 how you have them. Whatever is on your mind, I would love to hear from you. And we'll continue going through these positions. We'll get through the tight ends and offensive line, then on to the defense. We'll get special teams as well. And we've actually got a plethora of returners to talk about. So I'm pretty pumped up there. But we've got a lot to talk about before training camp begins. And then when it begins, dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be here before you know it. 62 days. Let's go. But that's all I've got for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you need anything, you can always reach out, whether it be about the birds, about life. You need a friend. Always here for you as you are for me. I love each and every one of you. Have yourselves a great Independence Day weekend. And again, you need anything. I say it because I mean it. Reach out, man. Always here for you guys. But that's all I've got for you. Until next time, I am Jimmy Smith, and this is On the Road to Victory. You all stay safe out there, and as always, say it with me now. Go Birds!